So what's good, TMG fam? It's your boy Ellen. I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute. Now listen, I'm gonna say this one time and one time only, man. Listen, if you are squeamish, can't really take this type of a video, you might want to click off. If you can't keep food, if you eating and you can't keep the food down, you might not want to watch this type of video. All right, I'm done. Disclaimer out the way, gone. This is rare body part features only 1% of people have. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta get into it, gotta see it. Here we go. Subscribe.
But some bodies are even more unique than any other, as you will soon see. These are 20 rare features some unique people have. Number 20. Vestigial tail. Our bodies are weird for the most part. Losing an organ or a limb will have a pretty drastic impact on the rest of our body, but if you remove something like an appendix, pretty much no after effect. That, in a nutshell, sums up human vestigiality. This unsettling phrase describes the parts of our body that seem to serve no purpose in the modern world. At one point, of course, our ancestors likely needed things like the appendix. I'm not sure exactly what they needed it for, but then we once needed phone books, so I guess
that grew right out of his spinal area. Like, whew, I wonder if it like he felt it or did it have any pain? See, I'm that type of person, man. I be wanting to know, how does it affect? Should we be cutting that up? Like, that's the questions you got. Should we be doing this? If I'm born with it, then I'm supposed to have it. So I be having those type of questions.
Times just change, right? Most of these organs have since lost most of their original function, becoming what some like to call junk organs. An example of a junk organ can be seen in this boy's unusual condition. Yes, my friends, he has a tail. Your anime dreams have come true. The boy's tail isn't really functional, as is the case with just about every vestigial organ on the planet, which means that even the most well-trained medical experts on Earth have absolutely no idea why this happens, just as they don't fully understand the purpose of vestigial organs in general. It's almost as if our bodies are just hoarding organs and refusing to let go. It's a biological version of storage wars. Like this video, smash.
How can you call it a I don't understand. Y'all gonna have to help me grasp that part. How do you call it like a junk organ? If it's a part of me, it's not junk. Like, I don't understand that.
Smash the subscribe button and click the notification bell right now, or this centipede will crawl on your face when you're sleeping. Now it's time for the juicy topic. Let's chat about Edward Mordrake. He's a rather unique fella. Why? Because he has two faces. No, that's a rare body feature only 1% of people have. He was a young man born from a noble English family. Famed for being clever and charming, people even called him handsome when looking at him from the front. But then, on the back of his head, there was an unexpected second face. Mordrake would claim the face would whisper things to him, which drove him to take his own life. If all this sounds familiar, it's because a fictionalized version of his life was used in 2 episodes of American Horror Story. As always, comment down below with the hashtag #JuicyTopic and let us know your opinion in relation to what we just showed on screen. Number 19. Morton's toe. I try not to overwhelm our viewers with too much scientific or medical mumbo-jumbo, but I will tell you that there's no real way to avoid it with this one. So if you don't understand what the second metatarsophalangeal joint is, actually you'll be okay. That's just a fancy way to refer to the second toe. You can call it, like I do, the second toe. The Morton's toe is basically what appears to be an extra long second toe. It happens when the first metatarsal, that's the bone in your big toe, is short compared to the second. But while it may seem like the condition describes a long second toe, that's not necessarily the case. In fact, it's just a fancy way of saying the bone in the second toe is larger than the first. I know those two things sound exactly the same, but
I don't feel like this one is a big deal either. Like, your toe, like, it's bigger than that one. oh, is it affecting you? Is it like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel like this one is that big of a deal.
But I've checked with 3 doctors and they all insist that we specify that the condition is not a long toe, but toe bones of different lengths. Regardless of the wording, it's something that many of us have, affecting about 15% of the population. It doesn't mean you're weird if you do have it, and you probably won't experience any pain from it. If anything, it just makes you even more special and unique. And doesn't everybody want to feel like that from time to time? Number 18.
I so bad want to look down at my toe right now and measure it, but I'm gonna do it after the video over with.
An outie. Here's one that a good chunk of you will be able to relate to, the famous outie belly button. What is it? How does it come about? And are you special for having one? All excellent questions, and we're going to answer all of them. Maybe. No promises. In case you don't know, your belly button is a reminder of the location that once connected you to your mom. It's a little like how your USB links your computer, only your USB was an umbilical cord in this situation. When the umbilical cord is cut, you have a small piece left over called the umbilical stump. A couple of weeks later, that will fall off, and what's left behind is your belly button. So I guess a good way to think of it is that your belly button is a scar, and that innie/outie nature depends entirely on how your skin heals. So, no, there is nobody to blame for whether you have an innie or an outie. Both are beautiful, neither are bad, and you are indeed a very special human, and we're lucky to have you with us. Because ultimately, it's just another thing that connects us all. We're all humans with scars on our abdomens, and we don't ever really think about it. Wild, huh? Number 17. Heterochromia. David Bowie was well known for a whole bunch of things. He was, after all, a genius rock star and songwriter, but one of the things that he's perhaps most well known for today is the most unique aesthetic abnormality, heterochromia, also known as the multicolored eyes. Heterochromia is the medical terminology for a condition that sees eyes having more than one color. Like most conditions, it's simply the result of a quirky genetic mutation and doesn't really have any major effects.
That's the first time I've ever seen that. I'd be using that to my advantage though. What? Man, please, I have all kind of pickup lines to the women about that. Is you crazy?
In very rare cases, it can be a symptom.
Let me see how you look in this light. Let me see how you look in that light. I'll be doing that all the people all the time.
Of a more severe medical condition, but this is pretty much unlikely most of the time. For the most part, it doesn't cause any problems. Of course, it doesn't hurt that it's such a rare condition. It's more common in animals, actually, than humans. In total, it only seems to affect less than 200,000 people in the United States alone. Still, those of you who have heterochromia can say that you share a unique condition with many animals all over the world, which is a weird flex, I know, but you have to admit that it's probably a better thing to put in your dating profile than how you like to watch The Office, right? I mean, your matches would have so many questions. It's the perfect icebreaker. Number 16. The Man with the Golden Arm. No, he's not a James Bond villain. The man with the golden arm is actually your average everyday human. With a very good heart, James Harrison is pretty much a national treasure in Australia, and so he should be. He's given more blood than anybody could even imagine. Harrison donated blood every single week for 60 years, saving the lives of 2.4 million babies in the process.
It's something I can do. Yeah. It's one of my talents, probably my only talent.
So how did all of this come about? It all started when Harrison had major chest surgery at the age of 14. Harrison required a lot of blood donations and later credited them with saving his life. So naturally, he pledged to give back the very service that saved his life and become a blood donor. Soon after, doctors found that he had an exceptionally rare blood type, containing a unique antibody so rare that only 50 people are known to have had it hit in Australia. Harrison began donating blood plasma and ended up saving countless lives. In fact, just about every batch of the anti-D vaccine that has been created in Australia came from Harrison's blood. Eventually, at the age of 81, Harrison retired from giving blood. His retirement saw him being celebrated by people all over Australia who praised his incredible service and selflessness.
Now, why isn't something like this plastered all over the news? Why you can't hear? Why do I have to research and find a video tucked and buried to be able to find this out about that person? Now, or maybe it was and I didn't see it, but it should be like everything else. It should pop up on your screen multiple times throughout the day until you see it. Like, man, that man has saved countless lives.
Number 15. The DEC2 gene. Are you a workaholic? How about a big sleeper? If you're both, you face a pretty unique problem. How do you get the sleep you need, but also get your work done? Some people are lucky enough that they don't have to answer that. In 2009, researchers made a stunning discovery when they described a mother and daughter with a mutation in a gene called DEC2. While researchers generally recommend that adults get at least 7 hours of sleep, these two felt fully rested after just 6. The discovery prompted the experts to turn their attention to other so-called short sleepers. They discovered it was a much bigger, more widespread condition. According to the research, another similar gene mutation is present in around every 4 people out of 100,000, allowing people to sleep an hour less and feel totally well rested. Now, this doesn't sound like much of a fun time for those who enjoy sleep and hate work, but for the workaholics among us who feel there is simply not enough time in the day to get everything done, this is the stuff of dreams. Sadly, there's no real way to get the gene if you're not born with it, so we'll just have to wait until the drug from Limitless becomes a terrifying reality. Number 14. Hercules' body. We've long been told that the secret to looking good is a 3-pointed pyramid: hydration, nutrition, and fitness. But hey, some people seem to be born lucky, allowing them to develop a muscular body without even having to do a single thing. This may do a real number on your self-esteem. This is Nguyen Hoang Nam, a 10-year-old Vietnamese boy. Obviously, he's not your average Vietnamese kid. I mean, look at him. He looks like he could punch Hercules in the face and win. Nam was born with myostatin-related muscle hypertrophy, which the local media translated as Superman syndrome. Actually, the condition has nothing to do with how strong he may be. It simply means he was born with the condition, which causes muscle overgrowth. While it doesn't cause any major health problems, it does limit the kid's flexibility and leaves him with some difficult muscle stiffness. Still, he doesn't let it get him down. In fact, Nam's dream has shifted to becoming a bodybuilder. I'm no expert, but I would take a pretty confident bet that he will succeed in that career, if only because he doesn't even have to try. Up against this guy, I'm sure even Arnold Schwarzenegger would say, okay, this is totally pointless. I may as well not even be here. Number 13. SIRENOMELIA. I was almost tempted to ask what you think SIRENOMELIA meant, but then I remembered that we record these videos far in advance, and that I can't really hear you. But it's okay, I can just tell you exactly what it is. It's mermaid syndrome. However, mermaid syndrome is not anywhere near as fun or quirky as it sounds. It doesn't make you any better in the water, and it also doesn't mean you can suddenly sing stunning melodies that will lure foolish men into their deaths. It's an extremely rare condition.
Look, I'm not even quite the same than all the others, but some people just like the way I am.
That sees infants born.
I feel like they shouldn't even name it that, though. Why even name it mermaid syndrome to give it that type of connotation that makes somebody feel like they're, you know what I mean? This creature or something. Like I don't know how I feel about that, bro. I don't think I like that.
Born with partial or complete fusion of the legs. Not unlike the mermaids you hear about in legend. Of course, it has more drastic consequences in reality. Sufferers can develop additional problems, such as gastrointestinal abnormalities, spinal problems, or even underdevelopment of the kidneys, and those are arguably the less severe problems that can develop if you survive at all. SIRENOMELIA is often fatal during the newborn period, killing many of its sufferers before even having a chance chance to live. But the most interesting thing of all is that nobody even knows why it happens. Scientists have been unable to identify the genetic cause behind the condition, with most cases occurring randomly and without reason. Number 12. Preauricular pits. For the most part, all of our bodies are the same, right? Humans have the same basic shape: eyes, arms, torsos, tiny holes above our ears. Oh wait, you don't have that? Okay, well that's the preauricular pit. Maybe we should dig deeper into it. Preauricular pit isn't a common condition, but you'll certainly know if you have it. The preauricular pit appears at birth as tiny skin-lined holes or indents on the outer part of the ear. But when it comes to the details, it very much varies from person to person. Some people may only have one ear affected, some may have two, you may have multiple small holes. It's variable, but if you do have them, you can rest easy, they don't cause any symptoms or anything. At most, they may get infected, but treatment is available, meaning there's nothing to really worry about. Okay, so most of us are completely unaffected by the preauricular pit, but for those that are affected, you better make sure that you're taking care of your very unique ears. Also, if I were you, I would be telling everybody just how unique I am, but then maybe I'm just desperate for attention. It's been a very long pandemic, you know? Number 11. ECTOPIA cordis. We all know the phrase wearing your heart on your sleeve, but I don't think any of us expected that it would be based on a literal event. Ectopia cordis is an extremely rare condition, but one that should be taken with the utmost seriousness. Ectopia cordis is a condition that sees babies born with their hearts either partially or fully outside of their bodies. Generally speaking, this condition often goes hand in hand with other birth defects, making for a pretty difficult life for the babies, but when I say it's extremely rare, I mean it. The condition only affects 8 of every 1 million babies born.
I'm the only one that has this.
And sadly, most of those children are either stillborn or die within 3 days of birth. However, not all of them die. In fact, many healthcare experts around the world can help those affected babies live for weeks or even years with the right treatment. Like most of the conditions on this list, the world's foremost medical experts aren't even sure of what causes ectopia cordis.
See, this is the heartbreaking stuff that you have to hear, you know, and we need to know about, because when we're focusing on other things and pouring so much money into other things, this type of stuff we should be pouring money into, man. Helping these babies have a longer life. You know what I'm saying? Giving them opportunities and chances that we all got. Like, that's why when we spend wastefully.
They have theories, of course, but theories don't necessarily translate into clear facts and science-backed evidence. We just have to hope that modern science will find a way to fix the problem sooner rather than later. Number 10. Tetrachromacy. How many colors can the human eye actually see? I imagine most people would just say all of them, because if there are colors we can't see them. Good logic. Apparently you're wrong. Some people can see more colors than most, which seems impossible, but hey, science says it isn't. Tetrachromacy is the condition of possessing 4 independent channels for conveying color information. That means the sensory color space is 4-dimensional, as opposed to the 3-dimensional color sense most of us have, but actually it doesn't mean that you can see more colors, necessarily. It simply means you can differentiate colors with more clarity than your average human.
About to dive right in and finish up the piece here.
I'm not sure what situations you would need to be in for that to be a major advantage, but I'm sure it's a godsend when it comes to picking up paints to use for your wall. It's also theorized that tetrachromacy in humans could possibly enhance vision in dim light or when looking at a screen, but that hasn't been tested, so even if you do have tetrachromacy, we don't recommend that you go diving into a wall or something. You're amazing, yeah, but you're not a superhero. Number 9. Flexible eyeball. There are some things that we just don't...
See, this was the like, the thing that made me say, okay, maybe this video is going to be crazy. Y'all be careful. That's what my whole speech was about in the beginning. I was like, all right, maybe this video is going to be crazy. And then it goes totally left. And I'm like, oh man, like, no, we need to figure this thing out. These little girls need some help. You know, we need some more funds being poured into research on how to cure or how to assist them for a longer life.
Need to know about. Eye popping is one of them. As someone who would happily describe themselves as squeamish, I do not need to see anybody pop their eyeball out of their head, and yet, here we are. I sincerely apologize. Despite the common misconception, not every popped eyeball comes from head trauma. In fact, some people are just born with the ability to relax their eyeballs to such a degree that they just kinda pop out of their sockets.
Like Popeye the Sailor, man.
It's one of the most disgusting sentences I've ever said in my life, but it's true. Just imagine how the poor eye doctor feels. Apparently people who suffer from shallow eye sockets or floppy eyelid syndrome often have their eyeballs popping out during routine eye examinations. At that point, I would probably change careers and be a car salesman or something. So yeah, eye popping is a real thing, and
But imagine what I would love to know this dude's story, because I wanted to know how he grew up. Did the kids pick on him about that? Because it would definitely be one of those stories where you turn something that you may have been ashamed of as a kid into something that now you owned it yourself, and now you making it work for you, and now everybody's loving it, and this, that, and the third, and you've turned it into like this big thing. You've made yourself this celebrity now. I would love to hear his story.
And sometimes it's intentional, other times it pretty much just exists to terrify the eye doctors into thinking they got a little too close with the equipment. And I'll be honest, I think it works. I'm not even an eye doctor, and I'm considering just never looking at a human being ever again. Number 8. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. There's a weird belief that people who suffer from unique body conditions must feel somewhat unlucky or cursed by life. That could not be further from the truth. Actually, most of these people find some unique way to make it work for them. And, every now and then, someone finds a way to profit. Meet Gary Turner.
Fam just made his own mask.
A sideshow performer and Guinness World Record holder. Thanks to a very serious form of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, Gary has an unbelievable amount of skin thanks to his ability to stretch it. On October 29th, 1999, Gary managed to stretch the skin on his abdomen to an unthinkable length. 6.25 inches to be exact. It was that accomplishment that led him to break the world record for the stretchiest skin. From there, his success only continued, appearing in a short film about his condition and joining the sideshow full-time. Not a bad life for a guy with super stretchy skin.
He used to pull my skin and show his friends, and I knew by their reactions I had something straight.
Gary Turner is an example of a guy who was born into a very specific condition, and rather than let people feel sorry for him, he turned it into a career, making the best of his condition. Or to put it in a more fitting way, he stretched his condition into a career. Look, I don't feel any better about it than you do. Number 7. Perfect pitch. When people talk about having perfect pitch, they're usually talking about being a singer who just can't be off key. They hit every single note and it is always something incredible to behold. That is, of course, just one definition of what it is to have perfect pitch. Believe it or not, some people have the incredible gift of being able to precisely and accurately identify musical notes. They can hear, say, C-sharp minor, note C-sharp minor, and immediately recognize it as such, but while most musicians will claim to do this, most of them aren't actually born with the gift of perfect pitch.
F, A, C sharp, E, A flat, C, E flat, G flat.
And I know that because it is statistically impossible. Less than 1 in every 10,000 people are actually capable of the above, making perfect pitch a pretty rare gift for anybody to have, let alone professional musicians. Of course, it's a controversial thing. Scientific experts have long debated whether perfect pitch is a God-given thing, handed out at birth, or if it's a learned skill. What we do know is that, while you can learn to develop perfect pitch, provided you have the dedication and the training to do so, but that's, well, it's not anywhere near as easy as being born with a gifted ear. It's like being a voiceover artist. Some of us are just born lucky. It's me, I'm saying you know, you got it. It's fine, let's move on. Number 6. 13 minutes underwater.
What?
Holding our breath underwater is not an easy feat. In fact,
Wait, what? 13 what?
It's pretty much a surefire way to induce most of us into a panic attack, but let's travel over to Southeast Asia, where a group of sea nomads have grouped to combine their powers and, well, thrive underwater. The Bahau are a tribe of Indonesian sea nomads, famous for their unique abilities. They can hold their breath for 13 minutes underwater. That gift has led them to become known as the fish people, which make a lot of sense because they were literally born this way. According to a scientific study, the Bahau people have evolved spleens 50% larger than normal people, which serve as storage space for oxygen-rich blood cells. That certainly explains how they're able to free dive to more than 200 feet beneath the surface and fish for 5 to 10 minutes at a time. It's apparently the first known example of humans evolving to adapt to deep diving. Not a bad legacy there, my friends. For over 1,000 years, the Bahau have been wandering the seas of southern Asia and free diving for their food, so this was not an overnight thing, but it really shows just what evolution can do for humanity. When we've been eating McDonald's for 1,000 years, well, we might sweat Big Mac sauce. So, yum?
13 minutes? All of y'all have participated in the game in the pool where you see who can hold their breath the longest, man. That's just cheating. That's cheating right there.
Number 5. Polydactyly. When I first read this, I thought the writer had just had a very difficult time spelling pterodactyl, but no, this is a real condition, and it's actually, nothing to do with dinosaurs, not even close. Polydactyly is a condition in which you have 12 fingers and 12 toes. That's fun. This is Joandri Hernandez Garrido, one of many people that was born with polydactyly, and to him his condition is a blessing. Polydactyly affects around 1 in every 1,000 births, but Garrido is kind of an outlier in that most children with this condition don't tend to have perfect extra digits. However, if you were to take a brief look at Joandri's hands, you would never even notice that there was anything wrong, until of course you start counting and then you realize, unless you were high on something, then you might just think it was normal. But while Joandri's 24 fingers and toes may be impressive to those of us that have 20, he's far from the record holder. In fact, a young boy in India has taken the record for the most digits with 34 fingers and toes. Obviously, they're not quite as perfectly formed as Joandri's 24, but, well, he may be better equipped to catch a baseball. Number 4. Elf ears. Every Christmas you see 'em, people dressed up as elves complete with colorful costumes, painful fake smiles, and pointy elf ears. To most of us, this is just part of the animal Christmas costume, but to some people it's not a costume at all. It's just part of their biology. Elf ear, also known as Stahl's ear, is a condition that leaves the ear pointy on the outside. Like most abnormalities, Stahl's ear is typically present at the birth of the child and is usually corrected pretty early in life. But even if it isn't corrected, the condition doesn't actually cause any kind of pain or suffering, and it doesn't affect the child's hearing whatsoever, so all in all, it really just makes the whole act of cosplaying even easier. Assuming, of course, that you're a fan of Spock, or any kind of mainstream media elf. The big scientific cause is pretty easy to identify. Normal ears develop with 2 folds of cartilage, but a Stahl's ear features a 3rd fold. If that support portion of the ear unfurls, you end up with a uniquely pointed ear. I have absolutely no idea if this is also how it worked for Spock and his people, but from what I can gather, their medical history is a little sketchy. Number 3. Simian crease. Just for a second, take a look at the palm of your hand. What do you see? Besides all of the life and wealth lines and whatnot, some of you may see a very sharp crease horizontally across the palm. That, my friends, is a simian crease, and if you have it, you are one of a rare few. The simian crease is actually an old name for a condition known as a single traverse palmar crease, or STP.
Did y'all know about the simian crease? It's the first time I'm hearing about it.
BC. The people with it will likely see 2 creases across the palm, slightly offset, making for a unique pattern different from a typical POM. Now, for the most part, the genetics that cause this trait don't relate to any other medical condition. However, it is known to be more likely to appear in people with Down syndrome, fetal alcohol syndrome, or any similar conditions. By and large, however, you can rest easy knowing that there's probably nothing wrong with you whatsoever. At most, your high fives and palm prints are just a little more special than those of so-called normal people. And as we've established throughout this video, you should be very proud of everything that makes you even a little different. That's what makes you special. Number 2. Gleeking. Back in the late 2000s, gleeking...
Don't act like you ain't never did it. Some of y'all girls are sitting there, and I hate it when the boys used to do that. Yeah, can't help it.
Had a very different meaning than the one we're about to share, but hey, we're in the 2020s now, and Glee is long dead, so let's reclaim the word for something more, scientific, shall we? I'm sorry to say that gleeking is just as gross as it sounds like it's going to be. You know how some snakes can project venom from quite a distance? That's pretty much what gleeking is, only this one is, more spit-based. Gleeking is the act of shooting saliva from beneath your tongue, and the thing is that most of us have experienced this, whether willingly or not. It often happens when you yawn and suddenly find your stuff covered in spit. Welcome to the Gleeker Club. It's disgusting, but hey, we're TikTok.
It's nasty, but it was a phase that us boys went through, or we did it to people, and safe to say it was extremely disgusting. Yep, we're disgusting.
Cool now, so that's something. While it's always been known as an unintentional or accidental thing, many TikTokers are now training themselves to learn how to do it on purpose. Because apparently that's a thing now. I mean, considering how successful it is for snakes, I guess it's worth a try. Maybe we can get people to keep their distance in the COVID age. Actually, no, please don't gleek at people. That's just weird.
Yeah, like right now in the current climate of things wouldn't, no. I think that wave has been gone. That you know what I mean? That ship has sailed a long time ago. I don't think this is not, like you do that to somebody these days with what's going on, no, people, that'd be bad.
Number 1, mirror hand syndrome. Take a wild guess what mirror hand syndrome is. Anybody that thought it was a condition in which your hand turned into a mirror? Good guess. But no, it's a rare congenital condition that sees the hand being totally symmetrical, somehow. In most cases, the symmetry consists of a central finger and 3 digits on either side, with no thumb. That usually means you'll have 7 or 8 fingers on one hand, making for quite the high five. But this condition does lead to some other differences, with many abnormalities being seen in the forearm and elbow, and limiting movement throughout the arm from the fingers to the elbow. But as for what causes it, that's one of science's great mysteries. Medical experts are pretty sure that the genes responsible for positional information during limb development are probably involved in some way, but beyond that, it's a lot of guesswork. The mirror hand syndrome can be diagnosed as early as prenatal ultrasound, which makes it even more baffling for many scientists. Thankfully, those who suffer from the condition do have options to correct it, with surgery dedicated to correcting appearance and improving function. And again, it's a hell of a high five. Do you or your family have any unique conditions? Let us know in the comments.
I'm guaranteed if you ask Queen, do we have, she say, yeah. She just point at me and just say, I'm a unique condition. Just myself, just me being me. That's what she would say. But man, this was enlightening because you didn't know some of these things. I didn't know some of these things existed or stuff like that, man. So for me, it's kind of, rough to see because all I can do is think about how we waste money a lot, and we can, potentially be trying to find cures to help people that need it. The situation with the little girl in that heart, I still can't get off of that, So to see where we waste a lot of things and things that we do, and we have people that really need the money for that research to get cures to help them see a long lasting normal life, man, it's just disheartening sometimes. But this was rare body features only 1% of people have. I had a totally different outlook going into this, and came out the other side totally different. Was definitely amazed. Y'all get at me in the comment section. Let me know what you think, and stick around and stay tuned. Until next one, I'm gone. Peace.